So this happens in life all the time. When you do something at the highest level, it no longer becomes praiseworthy, but it's expected. The NBA is no different. Case in point, Michael Jordan. When Jordan was scoring 30 plus nearly every year, it became an expectation. So when in 97 and 98, he was trending southward of 30, people started to think, is Jordan getting old? Is he not what he used to be? Yet he was still a scoring champ those years. And then you can look at Steph Curry, one of the greatest shooters of our generation or of all time. Had a few duds in the past couple years where he didn't hit any threes. And people were saying, yo, is he past his prime? Has he lost a step? Is he the same Steph? Because he didn't hit a three in a game, but was still very capable of doing it. And look no further now than NIKOLA JOKIC. And we talk about Jokic a lot on this channel, but it's because sometimes things happen that I just have to talk about. Because he's, to me, one of the best players I've seen in the last few years, or I'd say in the last decade. Because it seems like right now the media, even content creators, are kind of down on Jokic, or just feel like what he's doing is, par for the course. Which is, when you're that good, to some, that's what it is. It's just par for the course. You're just doing what you do on a nightly basis. But in this instance, what he's doing is phenomenal already, and we're only almost 10 games into the season. But according to, I believe, ESPN and even NBA.com, he's third on the MVP ladder right now, which, it's very early, and I know things are going to shift and change, and it's hard to judge this early because guys are putting up phenomenal numbers, and it's easy to overreact to some of the things that they've done so far because nothing has kind of evened out as far as guys that'll go back to their normal stats once, the season really starts ramping up, or teams that are just playing out of their minds right now. So it seems like their players or their star players are playing much better than maybe they really are. But I'm going to say this. Giannis Antetokounmpo right now, to me, is the most must-watch player in the NBA. The things he's doing nightly, the clips you saw Russell Westbrook trying to basically tackle him, and he just ran through it. He could have hulked up and just threw, Russ across the court if he wanted to, it seemed like. But, he just let it slide. Much like Shaq used to do. He just, guys would just wrap him up and he could probably just fling him into the third row, but he's got to be professional. Either way, without diminishing what Shea is doing and what Giannis is doing, I want to talk about what Jokic is doing and why it is MVP worthy already, and if he keeps it up, there shouldn't be any question. Now, outside of, I feel like if Milwaukee just goes nuclear and wins, northward of 45 to 50 games, then Giannis is going to have just a no-brain position as probably the MVP, because with the core he has around him, no one is expecting Milwaukee to do great. They're going to be a good, solid Eastern Conference team that the higher-ups probably don't want to match up with early in the playoffs, but they're not a team that scares at least the upper echelon of the Eastern Conference. But if Shea is Shea, and so far he's been Shea, which is phenomenal, but his team, we all know, defending champions, he's got an all-star on his team in Jalen Williams. They're not really having to implement a whole lot of new players or create new schemes or have a new coach or anything to try to get them to the next level. So it's harder for people to give him those props because they're just bringing back a nucleus that won the championship and did it, quite honestly, in my opinion. I don't think anybody felt any doubt as far as who was winning last year's championship, especially as we progress through the playoffs. So this leaves Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. And yes, they are incorporating new pieces. Yes, they have a new coach that's getting to coach them for the full season, that has taken the reins from Mike Malone and is really trying to create the best version of this Denver Nugget team. And Jamal Murray's playing phenomenal. You know, he may get an all-star nod. We'll see. Well, probably so, because since it's the U.S. versus the world, he'll probably almost by default get a spot on that team. But with that said, what Nikola Jokic is doing so far this season has to be talked about. I mean, he is currently averaging a triple-double. He's making it look fairly simple. You know, last night he already had triple-double in the third quarter. And he just built upon that as they went forward, and they absolutely slapped the team they were playing. And just for some tidbits that people might be overlooking, right now Denver is playing almost just as good as OKC. Their winning margin is 13.2, while OKC's is 13.5. That's good for second in the league right now. By 0.3, OKC is outpointing their opponents by 0.3. Now, right now, they sit third in the Western Conference, only behind San Antonio and OKC. But then you look at his numbers, and some people feel like he's fell off. But when it comes to the offensive game, you know, he's only averaging 25 points per game so far this season, which in other seasons would be phenomenal. But right now, with this offensive explosion, is kind of below average, if you ask me, or if you ask most people. But it's still a very, very good number as far as points per game. But as I was talking about earlier, sometimes when a player makes certain things look ordinary, for any other player, it would be extraordinary. So what Jokic is doing is making what he does on a nightly basis look like the norm, but it's really not. And then you look at his rebounds per game, his assists per game. He leads the league in both of those. Right now, he's averaging more steals than he did even last season. So I don't know if you want to count that as defensive play, but when you get steals, that means you're doing something right on the defensive end. That's just me. But then you look at his advanced metrics. He runs the gambit already. Box plus minus, win shares, VORP. The only ones he doesn't lead in is PER, player efficiency rating, of course, and defensive win shares, which, I mean, we know he's no defensive stalwart, but that's still extremely impressive this early in the season. And if you listen to media, if you listen to some of these creators, it just seems like it's not that impressive, but it is. And it's extremely impressive. But, you know, to me, Jokic is kind of a Tim Duncan-esque player. If he's not putting up astronomical point outage, then they just kind of gloss over what he's doing, because it's all about points when it comes to the NBA and how good you are. It's how many points you score. But when you actually look at the numbers and what he's doing and the fact that his team's winning and they're implementing new pieces and a new coach is really taking over, if the Denver Nuggets end up in a top 3 spot, there's no denying Jokic another MVP. That's just me. But already, if his numbers maintain, which so far this season, he hasn't given us a reason why they wouldn't, then, I mean, outside of Milwaukee taking the East, thanks to Giannis's incredible Hulk-type efforts, then I think it's a no-brainer. And no, this isn't slandering SGA, Luka, none of those guys. Those guys are playing phenomenal basketball, and they should be credited, because what they're doing is, just like what Jokic is doing, is unheard of. But I think you can't deny just greatness over a plethora of stats. And it's not just about stats, but having greatness that equates to winning and not just being one player beating teams, like in the case to me of Luka, but when he's helping other players get to their play above and beyond their norm, that's crucial, and that's a true most valuable player. So with that said, I'm going to end it here. Jokic is putting up phenomenal numbers, and it just seems like it's getting glossed over. But I'm here to highlight it and just say this guy is on another level. And if you have kids that play basketball, I would tell you to look at what this guy's doing. Because it's not just that he's big, you know, in the case of like Shaqs and Wilts and players of that nature, it's that he's just phenomenally skilled. He doesn't have hyper athleticism. It's not that he's just bigger, faster, stronger. It's that he knows the game, understands the game, and plays it the right way. So have your kids watch NIKOLA JOKIC, please. So with that said, if you enjoyed this video, please hit it with a like and subscribe. Let me know what you thought about my quick thoughts, and let me know in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this, please subscribe to the channel. On our way to 4K subs, and can't do it without you guys. Thank you. I'll be back soon with more content.